The crisp spring sunlight poured over a modest ranch nestled in the rolling hills of Montana. The Thompson Ranch wasn't sprawling, but its open fields and scattered pine groves provided plenty of room for Rusty, an 8-year-old golden retriever, to roam freely. Mr. Thompson, a retired wildlife photographer who'd spent 30 years capturing images of big cats for magazines like National Geographic, owned the ranch. He'd traveled across Asia and Africa, photographing predators in their natural habitats. 6 years ago, after losing his wife, he retired to this Montana property, inherited from his grandparents, bringing Rusty, his loyal companion from his final years of fieldwork. This week, Mr. Thompson was away in Seattle, attending a wildlife preservation summit. Rusty was left in the care of Mrs. Carter, an elderly groundskeeper who tended the ranch's small garden. As usual, Rusty was free to wander the surrounding area, as long as he showed up for meals. A powerful storm had recently torn through the region, leaving broken trees and churned earth in the pine woods behind the ranch. Following his morning routine, Rusty trotted along a familiar path into the woods, his nose twitching at the fresh scents the storm had stirred up: damp soil, displaced critters, and splintered pine. Near a ravaged patch of forest, where fallen trees lay tangled, Rusty froze. His nostrils caught a sharp, unfamiliar scent, wild, heavy, and unlike anything in these woods. It was the smell of a large predator. His fur bristled, a primal response to danger. Unknown to Rusty, a private wildlife sanctuary, Wild Haven, located 20 miles away, had suffered storm damage to its enclosures. Among the escaped animals was a 4-year-old Bengal tiger named Kala. The sanctuary had kept the escape quiet to avoid public alarm, notifying only local authorities and residents within a 15-mile radius. Kala, born in captivity, was still unaccounted for. Curiosity outweighing caution, Rusty crept forward toward a clearing where several pines had toppled. There, sprawled across a fallen trunk, was Kala, her orange coat with bold black stripes vivid against the green undergrowth. Exhausted from days of hiding, Kala was weakened by hunger and a gash on her front paw from her escape. Raised in captivity with regular feedings, her hunting instincts were dull, and the injury slowed her further. She hadn't moved much in the last day. Rusty stopped about 10 feet from Kala. A wild dog would have fled from such a predator, but Rusty, raised among humans, lacked the deep-seated fear of his ancestors. Kala, too, showed no aggression, no growls, no crouched stance, just weary eyes. Dark clouds gathered overhead, hinting at rain. Rusty glanced skyward, then back at Kala. His retriever's social instincts, mixed with inexperience around big cats, pushed him closer instead of away. Approaching cautiously, Rusty's tail wagged slightly, a friendly canine reflex. Kala tensed, her body defensive, but too weak for a strong reaction. After a moment of mutual sizing up, Rusty did something remarkable. He placed a paw on Kala's face, a dog's way of testing boundaries within a pack. In the wild, this could have provoked a deadly response, but Kala, raised around humans and drained of energy, merely tilted her head, tolerating the gesture. This moment wasn't friendship in the human sense, but a rare mutual tolerance born of unique circumstances. Kala, accustomed to other species from her sanctuary life, didn't react with wild instincts. Rusty, shaped by human care, lacked the fear a wild dog would have. After some interaction, Rusty started back toward the ranch, glancing back at Kala as if curious or signaling her to follow. Perhaps driven by hunger and familiarity with humans, Kala rose and trailed behind, her decision rooted in survival rather than affection. As raindrops began to fall, Rusty led Kala to an old shed at the ranch's edge, a weathered structure filled with rusty tools and stacked crates, unused since Mr. Thompson's arrival. Rusty slipped through a broken slat in the wall, a trick he'd mastered to escape bad weather or chase rodents. Nudging a loose board at the shed's base, he created a gap wide enough for Kala to crawl through. Inside, Rusty tugged a tattered blanket from a shelf, a habit for making cozy spots to rest. Kala, seeking shelter, curled up on the blanket as the rain poured outside. Hours later, when the rain eased, Mrs. Carter called for Rusty to feed him. Hearing the familiar call, Rusty darted out, leaving Kala behind. Mrs. Carter fed him on the porch, unaware of the tiger in the shed. After eating, Rusty returned with scraps, not out of deliberate sharing, but from a dog's instinct to stash food. Kala, ravenous, ate the scraps, though they were far from a tiger's natural diet. Over the next few days, a pattern emerged. Rusty, tied to Mrs. Carter's feeding schedule, spent more time in the shed with Kala, driven by curiosity and his sociable nature. For Kala, the shed was a safe haven, and Rusty's presence wasn't threatening, especially when he brought food. Her paw wound began to heal, and the scraps, though meager, helped her regain strength. Their coexistence wasn't friendship, but an unusual symbiotic arrangement shaped by circumstance. On the fifth morning, Mrs. Carter noticed odd signs. Large paw prints in the muddy ground near the shed and Rusty's food vanishing quickly. Familiar with Montana's wildlife, she suspected a bear or cougar. Deciding to check the shed, something she rarely did, she approached. Rusty, sensing a shift in routine, raced ahead, possibly out of territorial instinct. When Mrs. Carter opened the shed door, both animals were gone. Rusty's agitation or the sound of the lock may have spooked Kala, prompting her to slip away. But the evidence was clear. Disturbed blankets, claw marks on crates, and unmistakable tiger prints in the damp earth. Mrs. Carter, no stranger to local wildlife, knew these tracks didn't belong to any native predator. Mr. Thompson returned to his Montana ranch a day earlier than expected, his truck rolling into the gravel driveway under the late afternoon sun. Rusty bounded out from the edge of the pine grove, tail wagging. Mrs. Carter waited on the porch, her face etched with concern. She handed Mr. Thompson her phone, showing photos of the strange paw prints in the shed and describing Rusty's odd behavior, disappearing for hours and devouring more food than usual. Mr. Thompson studied the images, his experienced eye immediately recognizing the tracks as those of a tiger. Just then, his phone pinged with an alert from the local wildlife service about an escaped Bengal tiger from Wild Haven Sanctuary during the recent storm. The pieces clicked into place. After persuading Mrs. Carter to head home for her safety, Mr. Thompson called softly for Rusty. The retriever emerged from the wood's edge, but he wasn't alone. About 15 feet behind, partially hidden among the pines, stood Kala, her orange and black stripes glinting in the fading light. Mr. Thompson froze, drawing on decades of experience with big cats. He called Rusty again, his voice calm. After a brief hesitation, glancing between his owner and the tiger, Rusty trotted over. As Mr. Thompson stroked Rusty's fur, he observed Kala. Her posture, alert but not aggressive, watching without the fearlessness of a wild predator, told him she was a captive animal, not fully wild. The golden Montana sunlight cast long shadows across the ranch as Kala remained still, her amber eyes fixed on them. Mr. Thompson sat slowly on the ground, minimizing any threatening stance. Rusty settled beside him, occasionally looking toward Kala as if expecting something. A cool breeze carried the scent of pine and fresh grass. After nearly 20 minutes of quiet, Kala moved, not retreating into the woods, but stepping cautiously closer, her gaze never leaving Mr. Thompson. Her behavior suggested familiarity with humans, tempered by a tiger's innate caution. Mr. Thompson raised his camera, the soft clicks of the shutter blending with the rustling leaves. Kala didn't flinch, another sign of her captive upbringing. When she stopped about 30 feet away and sat, observing, Rusty glanced between her and Mr. Thompson, as if gauging the moment. As dusk settled, Mr. Thompson rose carefully and returned to the house with Rusty. From a living room window, he watched Kala linger in the same spot, seemingly weighing her new reality. That night, Mr. Thompson researched Wild Haven Sanctuary online. Reviews and reports painted a grim picture. Substandard care, cramped enclosures, and multiple violations. Kala, he learned, was a Bengal tiger born in a Florida breeding facility, seized in a raid 4 years prior and sent to Wild Haven. The next morning, as dawn broke over the ranch, Mr. Thompson spotted Kala resting under a cottonwood tree near the shed. Rusty, already at the door, whined softly, eager to go out. Mr. Thompson opened it, watching as Rusty trotted straight to Kala. Their reunion was natural, No tension, just ease between two animals who'd grown accustomed to each other. In a striking moment, Rusty placed a paw on Kala's face, a canine gesture of connection. Kala, calm and accepting, barely reacted, as if comfortable with the ritual. Mr. Thompson grabbed his camera, capturing the scene, a moment that would later become a cornerstone of his work on interspecies bonds. Over the next few days, Mr. Thompson observed Rusty and Kala from a distance, using his photography and tracking skills. He documented them drinking from a rain-filled ditch, Rusty chasing a squirrel, but pausing near Kala, as if deferring to her, and multiple instances of Rusty's paw-on-face gesture, a behavior that fascinated him. He began leaving fresh meat, beef and poultry from a local butcher, near the shed, better suited to a tiger's diet than Rusty's scraps. Kala adapted quickly, appearing daily with Rusty for feedings. She seemed to grasp the ranch's boundaries, never straying toward nearby homes. Rusty's presence appeared to guide her, helping her interpret human sounds and routines. Instead of contacting authorities immediately, Mr. Thompson reached out to Dr. Emily Larson, a former colleague at the Global Wildlife Trust and a big cat specialist. He sent photos and detailed notes on Kala's behavior, her bond with Rusty, and her history. Their 2-hour call covered every detail, with Dr. Larson asking pointed questions about Kala's actions and past. She wasn't shocked by the bond, citing cases like a tiger in India befriending a village dog and a lion in South Africa tolerating a hyena. The challenge, she said, was finding a proper home for Kala, not back to Wild Haven's poor conditions, but also not free in Montana, where she didn't belong and could endanger locals. Dr. Larson suggested a sanctuary in Wyoming, the Big Sky Reserve, known for its rehabilitation program for captive-born big cats. It blended modern science with Native American tracking knowledge to help animals like Kala regain natural instincts in a safe setting. While awaiting Dr. Larson's arrangements, Mr. Thompson upgraded the shed, adding ventilation, a sturdy platform mimicking tree branches for Kala to rest on, and reinforcing the structure for winter. He installed motion-activated cameras, capturing footage of Rusty and Kala's interactions. Gentle play sessions where Rusty bowed playfully, tail high, and Kala responded with soft swats, claws retracted, mimicking tiger cub play. One morning, Mr. Thompson awoke to soft thumps on the porch. Through the window, he saw Rusty and Kala lying side by side, Rusty's paw on Kala's face, both gazing at the sunrise. It was Kala's closest approach to the house, a sign of growing trust. Mr. Thompson snapped photos through the glass. One image, Kala's stripes glowing in dawn light, Rusty's golden fur beside her, later gracing the cover of his book. 2 weeks later, Dr. Larson confirmed that Big Sky Reserve would accept Kala into their rehabilitation program, intrigued by her bond with Rusty as a research opportunity. Transporting a tiger across states was complex, requiring permits, health checks, and quarantine. Mr. Thompson, leveraging his network, took on the logistics. During this period, Kala grew more comfortable with him, eventually allowing him to approach while she ate, a rare trust for a predator. One afternoon, as Mr. Thompson sat on the porch with Rusty, Kala lay just 10 feet away. For an hour, human, dog, and tiger shared a quiet, peaceful coexistence. Watching Rusty and Kala together, Mr. Thompson realized their bond was too vital to break. Separation could harm Kala's mental state and hinder her rehabilitation. He called Dr. Larson with a bold idea: bring Rusty to Wyoming with Kala. Initially skeptical, she warmed to the plan after reviewing Mr. Thompson's footage, seeing Rusty's stabilizing influence. A week later, Big Sky Reserve approved the plan and invited Mr. Thompson as a consultant, valuing the research potential of this unique case. At 63, Mr. Thompson had retired from fieldwork but still burned for conservation. The Montana ranch, though serene, often felt empty since his wife's passing. The chance to contribute to a cutting-edge program was irresistible. After reflection, he accepted. Over 2 months, he arranged to lease the ranch to a family passionate about organic farming, secured permits for Kala, and prepared Rusty and himself for Wyoming. In late fall, Mr. Thompson, Rusty, and Kala arrived at Big Sky Reserve, a 60,000-acre expanse of grasslands, rocky outcrops, and sagebrush, mimicking a tiger's natural habitat. For Kala, it was her first taste of a landscape echoing her ancestors' homeland. Mr. Thompson took a role as a senior advisor, leading research on interspecies bonds and rehabilitation methods. Kala was placed in a large, fenced enclosure designed to simulate wild conditions, with boulders for climbing and small prey to hone her hunting skills. Rusty, under supervision, visited regularly, adapting eagerly to Wyoming scents and sounds. Researchers noted Rusty's positive impact on Kala. Initially clumsy in hunting, she began mimicking Rusty's patient observation of prey, like deer or rabbits, learning to wait for the right moment. Once, Rusty sensed a rattlesnake and backed off, signaling Kala to do the same, a rare cross-species communication. Kala's hunting improved, blending reawakened instincts with cues from other tigers in nearby enclosures. Rusty, though no predator, sometimes joined her in tracking, scenting prey first. Their bond became the focus of Mr. Thompson's research, detailed in his book, The Unlikely Alliance: Lessons from a Dog and Tiger. He proposed a model for rehabilitating captive big cats, using trained dogs as intermediaries, bridging human and wild worlds. Though initially met with doubt, the model gained traction in conservation circles. At their cabin overlooking the reserve's plains, Mr. Thompson, Rusty, and Kala settled into a new rhythm. Mornings brought the calls of meadowlarks, with Rusty on the porch and Kala visible in her enclosure, as if checking on her friend. Their story, captured in Mr. Thompson's photos and writings, reshaped how sanctuaries approached rehabilitation, proving that even the most unlikely bonds could rewrite the rules of survival.